So every time a tenant moves out of a property, one of the most difficult things to figure out exactly how to do and how to do properly is this, the return of the security deposit. And if you're a property owner, you have questions on this because we receive these all the times. How much can I deduct from my tenant's security deposit for a particular damage item? What can I not deduct? So here's a couple things to keep in mind as you are processing a security deposit return from your tenant. Number one, state law for Colorado says this: the return must be completed and mailed within 30 days of the time the tenant moves out. Now this is a big deal because if you miss this, if you get this wrong, if you hit day 31, the law also says you lose all rights to retain any of that security deposit. So it doesn't matter if the tenant did $10,000 worth of damage, if you don't mail this until day 31, you just lost it all. You can't retain any of it. And you're also going to be liable to return now to the tenant 3 times the amount of the security deposit. So if your deposit's $1,000 and you hit day 31, you're writing a check for $3,000 back to your tenant. Now, if your lease specifically states and gives you up to 60 days, you have that right. There's some nuances of this law that we don't have time to go into here, but just remember, you've got to get this completed, returned within 30 days. The second thing to be aware of is wear and tear versus damage. What are the things that you can actually deduct for under the law, and what are the things that are considered wear and tear? If it's considered wear and tear, state law says you may not deduct for it. Now the state law does have a definition of wear and tear, and it basically says normal wear and tear is deterioration that occurs based upon normal use, not negligence, not carelessness, but normal type of use. Now, wear and tear are items you cannot deduct for. The state is very, very clear on what wear and tear is. Wear and tear is things like this: nail holes in the wall. Those are not things you can deduct for. Faded paint, faded and failed caulking, and some dirtiness. Because the other aspect of wear and tear that takes into account is this: how long the tenant has been inside the property. If the tenant's been inside the property for 10 years, the legal system allows for a very high degree of wear and tear and cleanliness to be reduced down. In other words, if the tenant's been in your property for 10 years and that carpet is ruined, then the carpet's pretty much ruined. You can't deduct for that. Why? Because the life expectancy of carpet does not go beyond 10 years in most judicial findings. Now, this is not an exact science. This is an aspect of navigating Colorado state law to ensure that you're in compliance with the law, but to ensure that you're retaining what is rightfully and legally yours as the landlord, but you're also returning to the tenant what is their security deposit. So what you want to do is you want to prorate out for things like life expectancy of carpets, things like life expectancy of paint. If your tenant's been in the property for 1 year and the property was brand new when they moved in and had new carpet, and they trash the carpet, you cannot deduct 100% of your carpet replacement. You have to depreciate that carpet. Typically what we see is 5 years in the state of Colorado. And it's the same thing for carpet, for paint, for appliances, for blinds. All those types of things have unique aspects on how long you have to take into consideration that the length of tenancy, as well as how old the appliance or the carpet is. Now the fourth thing to remember is simply this: judges in Colorado are very, very tenant friendly. So if you're going to, if push comes to shove and you're standing in front of a judge on a security deposit return, be prepared to be disappointed. No matter how shut case you think you have with a tenant, you're probably going to come out of there a little bit unhappy, because judges in Colorado, this is just the way that they're ruling now. They are very, very tenant friendly, so you want to do everything within your power to ensure you're not standing in front of a judge. Now, when you have to make that case, you better make sure your documentation's in place, have your pictures, have your documentation, have everything lined up, have the lease agreement clearly in place and what it outlines as well. But be very, very cautious upon what you're going to retain on a security deposit. If in doubt, contact a professional. If you have any questions as you're completing a security deposit return, if you're not having us do that for you, give our office a call, 303-255-1990. Talk to us. We'd be happy to give you some advice on how to complete a security deposit, which is going to be fair to you, fair to the tenant, and keep you in compliance with Colorado state law.